Bienvenidos y welcome to the Biz Bruja podcast, where we're claiming our powerful intuition, our sacred medicina, embracing our magic and healing ancestral patterns, invoke powerful creations in our own well-being, our lives, familias, community, and our businesses. Remembering that our businesses are so important at this time. I'm the creatrix of this blogcast, the Biz Bruja herself, Vanessa Codorniu, a modern-day bruja, fourth-generation psychic medium, clinical hypnotist, energy healer, and soul biz mentor and coach. An Argentine-American who started reading adults at 16, became a professional intuitive at 22, and now guides creatives, intuitives, healers, and entrepreneurs to break through fears, connect to the practical power of their intuition so they can serve the world powerfully. Hello, everyone. Bienvenidos. I'm so excited today to be here with you. In the last couple of weeks, I've been talking, interviewing, having deep conversations with wonderful, gifted people who've been sharing their stories, how their gifts lean into their ancestral pasts, and how they're bringing it forward, serving the community, and growing their magia into the world. And today, I thought about this a lot. I was like, okay, do I really want to talk about this? Pero, I am here to speak truth into purpose, into power, to share people's stories, and also to share my own, and to kind of call out and bring forth things that maybe are hidden or not talked about, right? That's why we talk about ancestral healing, because so many of the stories that people have shared on this podcast for the last 5.5 years. No, actually, 5.5 years, going into 6 years in October, have been those stories that we've kept hidden. And so I'm glad to be here with you all, because I really want to kind of pull back the curtain, really get to the heart of what a lot of us are going through. Now, I know people are going to come out like, that's not my story, that's not happening. But I want to remind you all that I've been online for 13 years. I've done, over 14,000 sessions. And everyone does their business in their own way. They do their calling in their own way. Some people do it on the weekends. Some people really write books and create cards, but don't really have sessions. I do sessions. Because I love it. I love doing one-on-one work. I love teaching online. I've been doing it since my first class online was 2012. You know what I mean? Through conference call. So I moved with the times. I've pivoted. And I've been holding circles since when I was 19 years old. Two of my friends, my boyfriend and my bestie at the time, we guided 19 or 20. We guided 12 circles that year, 1 year, 12 circles every month. And then later when I was 28, 29, I came back and did circles for over 10 years, right? So mostly for free. So I come from a time where this was just a way of life, where we were not bantering about to just make millions. Not that I am putting that down, but what I'm saying is that I come from a time where this was just a way of life, where mi mamá, mi abuela, my abuelas, my grandmothers got up, we cleansed with an egg, where we cleansed the house, where we meditated and prayed on the door, that people who were not in alignment would walk in. And slowly but surely, through my own healing process and clearing and releasing my ancestral blockages, right? Because my ancestral stories were about, well, if you have the gift, or you have the gift of intuition or healing, you just give it away. Or you keep it secret because you don't want to get hurt, right? You don't want to be dragged off to the witch burning. And I'm sure, I haven't done the actual work to find out if I had family members who were burnt. But, being that I'm from 5 different countries in Europe and ancestry, 5 different countries, or 4 different cultures or countries in Africa, and indigenous background as well as Jewish, Ashkenazi, these are the backgrounds. They're not the culture I was raised in. The culture I was raised in is South American and also American, because I grew up in New York City. Pero hablando español till I was 8 years old, speaking Spanish till I was 8. So my brain, by the way, thinks in 2 languages and doesn't need to translate, even though sometimes I may get stuck in words. And so I come from that time, and my teachers were people who, a lot of them, probably passed away or have reached older age where they're struggling financially because they gave away their gifts. And I'm the bridge, right? I come after them, the bridge, and then helping the next generation to step in and to reclaim. And something that I saw a lot, and that's what made me create this business. This is what made me create the School of Healing Artes. That's what helped me create the podcast, the Biz Bruja podcast, interviewing mostly Latinx, also BIPOC. I've interviewed white folks as well to talk about their ancestral stories, their businesses, and how they created them. But coming from a time where we kept everything silent, that's what inspired me to create everything that I have in my business, to shout it out, to come out of the closet, to be able to share our intuitive stories, our psychic stories, how we stepped into our magic in our lives, in our healing, in our business. And I'm finding... Now, I've been through this for a while, what we're going to talk about today, when the algorithm goes to, it's happened to me before, it happened to me on Facebook, but we'll talk about it. And some people will be like, oh, that's not happening to me. And I'm really happy for them that it's not. But at some point in time, many healers, many intuitives and online coaches are going to find that what was working in the past isn't working now. And of course, I've had 13 years online, so trust me, when Spirit's like, girl, you need to teach Reiki online, because I never taught Reiki online. But during the pandemic, I had classes twice a weekend, right? 2 weekends a month while I was teaching Akashic Records. I had so many classes running that everybody thought like I was a full-fledged school. I'm like, yeah, me, myself, and I are teaching. Then some of my students stepped in. But of course, in any business of any sort, we're going to have to shift with the times, pivot, change. Nothing stays the same. And even though on the surface, we like the comfort of it, we are like, well, I'd like it to stay. Eventually it will change because there's new technology, there are new needs, our community wants different things. The old products that we used to offer have to be updated and even changed to address the needs of what people are going through today. Now, if you're not a business owner and you're like, I don't know, Vanessa, if I want to stay on this episode, I ask you to stay, because this is impacting more than business owners and healers and creatives. It's going to impact us, and it's been impacting us on a huge collective scale. So let's talk about what's going on behind the scenes for a lot of healers, a lot of intuitives, and a lot of online coaches right now, because I know I'm not the only one feeling it. In fact, I've been speaking to many people behind the scenes, not only in their sessions, but speaking to healers who are like, yo, are you okay? What's up, girl? Hermana, what's going down? Amiga, we're like, yo, what's going on? And that's how we were during the pandemic. And a lot of the healers that have been thriving now really came on the scene around 2019, 2020. I was here already, right? Since late 2012, 2013, I was already doing the work. So it was so great to meet the younger generation that was stepping in. A lot of them in their 30s, maybe early 40s. And there's some older healers who are maybe around my age, but actually only have been on this path for 5-7 years. So it's been an amazing time during the pandemic to see how many people were online. People were online, people were training, people were healing, people started going to therapy if they could get a therapist, right? The pandemic, it forced everybody to face their shadow. I thought it was forcing the collective to face its shadow, and I think it did, but I think there was a backlash. So let's talk about what a lot of healers are dealing with. Again, not everyone, but a lot. The silence after the post. So, that moment where you pour out your heart into a post, a reel, a new offer, a new website, a new podcast episode, and then all you get is crickets, right? Not even a tumbleweed. I mean, right? Just total silence. I remember those days in 2013, 2014, when that would happen. And immediately my brain would be like, well, I'm not marketing correctly. I'm not fine-tuning the message. I'm not in alignment. And I'd go in, I'd kind of align myself or help my clients, and then we'd switch it up. And I'd be like, well, maybe blogging is not your thing. How do you feel when you blog? They would be like, well, I kind of don't want to do it. And I'm like, well, maybe that's why people aren't getting your message, right? Or people who didn't want to do video, including me. I just started doing video in 2016, by the way, when Instagram finally created their lives, right? So I started doing live readings. I used to do the 3-card pull that everybody's been doing in the last 2 years. I used to do that in 2014, so like 11 years ago. I had an assistant who was amazing, Danielle, who came up with that idea or saw it somewhere. But going to that moment where you pour out your heart into a reel, into a post, into an offer. And now people who are not doing this for business may not have this problem, right? Or people who've been having a conversation maybe on Facebook with no images really and no actual invitations that are in a graphic or in a link. People who have been doing just conversation on Facebook or just their Facebook groups may not be experiencing this as much as the people who are Instagram, right? Who are on Facebook with reels, with offers, with posts. So a lot of people are telling me, girl, I'm getting crickets, right? So I'll talk about myself and my past. So Facebook, 2017, 2018. In 1 year, I had 44,000 followers on my Facebook page called Vanessa Codorniu en Español. So follow me there if you want. Now it's down to 41,000. So back in 2017, 2018, I had 44,000 followers. Do you know how I did it? I did videos 5 days a week. Now I have a friend who's Latino from South America, Julio Bebione. I love him. He does A Course in Miracles in Espanol. And he did, I think it was 7 years straight, a Spanish video every day. So I was inspired by him. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do 5 videos a week in Espanol. And I'm going to do 5 videos a week in English. So what wound up happening is people saw me, they loved me, they chased me down. And in 2017, 2018, that year had 44,000 followers. My husband always says, I thought you were going to be a millionaire. I got 40 messages a day asking me to find their missing son, their missing daughter, what happened to people yelling at me saying I shouldn't, en el nombre de Dios, that I shouldn't be doing this. I'm not a good Christian. I got messages from people saying that if it was a real gift, I'd be doing it for free. And I went online and I spoke and I'd be like, look, I'm breaking the generational pattern of hiding because that's what my family did. I'm 4th generation that I know of. I could be more generation psychic medium, you know what I mean? An intuitive healer. Because I saw my grandparents talk about, and they spoke with me about their guides and how their guides helped them in their lives. My family was raised on Espiritismo. They read Allan Kardec, right? A French writer on metaphysics. They came through that. And then my other side of the family came through the indigenous practices of the limpia with the eggs. And so I come from all that. In 2018, I was getting all those messages. Hey, girl, where are your courses in Spanish? And estamos aquí. And I started one day in 17 hours. I created my Vanessa Codorniu en Español website. I shot video. I created the website. It was crazy. I translated everything. And next thing I knew, I had 5 courses filled in Espanol, 5 courses filled in English. So in 2018, soon enough, I was getting thousands and thousands of likes on my Facebook page. And then suddenly, almost overnight, it went from, 2,000, 3,000 likes and comments and people booking me and people asking me to translate the courses to suddenly people could barely see me. I went from, 3,000, 4,000 likes at times. And again, 44,000 followers. They were followers. To suddenly 100 by 2018-ish, to suddenly 5. And I am still posting on Vanessa Codorniu en Español on Facebook. I share my podcast there. It is tumbleweeds. But I'm not going to let go of that platform. It went down from 44,000 followers into 41. So I moved into Instagram after crying it out on the floor. And I share my personal story because some of the people that are going through this right now, especially on Instagram or Facebook or other things or other areas, don't have experience with it because it's their first time, right? I've been here longer. So then I shared a lot of information that was important to me as a healing activist. And I come to find out about, I think it was 8 months ago, a marketing specialist that I spoke with said, you're supposed to have, out of every 1,000 followers on Instagram, you're supposed to have 100 views, right? And I'm sharing this information because I'm also asking all of you who are listening to get on my mailing list, right? Because people aren't seeing me and they're not seeing so many of us out there. So the last 8 months that I shared, like maybe 10 times a day, a lot of information, to support peace on earth, etc., I became shadow banned, right? So that means that less and less people saw me. Now my numbers are beginning to increase, but at one point, a couple of months ago, I was only getting about 10 people seeing me. Many of you have written me and you've been like, Vanessa, did you retire? Are you gone? Like, what is happening? I never see you. And I'm like, oh no, I got my podcast. I got this. I got sessions. I got clients. I've got retreats coming up. And so this is really real. There's material and information that Meta and maybe other groups don't want to be shown. Some of us have been punished. We've been in, improv, not improv, too much improv on the brain. We've been in, jail, Instagram jail. There's somebody, Julia Diaz, who was shadow banned for a long time. She said it publicly. And I think now she erased all of her posts and she has 78,000 followers, right? So she said this publicly, not to me privately. It's there. That's why now she's gone off to other spaces and other places. And so what starts to happen to healers is that our most honest, potent, incredible work is barely seen. And you know that we're here to serve, right? We're here to support. We're here to offer real medicina in a time where I feel like people need it the most. And so that silence can cut deep. Obviously, it's not personal. But again, I've spoken to at least 12 healers, okay? So at least 12 healers. And again, it depends. If you're just writing, I know one healer who's on Facebook who is still booked out and doing great, but they never actually have a link to their work. They do everything through DMs and they have conversations, right? And that's wonderful for them. And it works out for them at this time. But all of us have had success in different ways. So this is not just about visibility. It's about being witnessed. So when your sacred work disappears into the void, it starts to mess with your sense of purpose, your confidence, and your nervous system. So if any of you are going through this, like, I started my healing business, or I started my graphic business, I started this and I'm not being seen. It may not be you at all, okay? It may be that the algorithms are wonky for whatever reason. And now it's time to recreate, right? And that's what we do all the time. When you're a real business owner, and I think as a healer too, and even our ancestors, our indigenous ancestors, wherever we may be from, they had to recreate and adapt and be resilient because things changed, weather changed, life changed, the tribal setup, the structure of our society changed. So it's not just you if you're watching this. So if this is you, if your numbers are down and your engagement is really trash, it's trash right now, and let's say your launch flopped despite all the prayers, all the strategy, and all the beautiful Canva templates, I want you to hear this. It's not just you, okay? It's not just you. Now, I had a really successful healing improv for healing session in New York City. All of the people who signed up, the 16 people who signed up for the class, the 3-hour class workshop that I had, they were all clients already that I messaged personally and invited and then sent it on my email list, right? Now, we're in a moment where the algorithm is favoring, I guess, huge numbers, because the huge number of people are still fine. I have 16.5. It's respectable. I've been stuck there for 2 years. So that means that people are following me and people are unfollowing me at the same level because I've been stuck there, right? And so the algorithms are favoring certain types of posts more than others, flashover feeling, and any topics that they do not appreciate, which are real, are being overlooked. And so add the fact that we're in an economic climate where folks are scared, right? Whoever you voted for, right? Whoever you voted for, the impact of the shifts that have happened since the beginning of the year and before have everybody reeling, right? Stock markets go up and down, but this economic climate has a lot of people scared, has a lot of people holding their breath and clinging to every dollar. And that becomes a perfect storm for a business owner, and especially for anybody who's digital, who's online. But here's the thing, right? This doesn't mean that your work isn't needed. It means that the way it's meant to move in the world might be changing. And I've been through that, right? Because I've been through the 2018 death on Facebook in Espanol, where I was literally crying on the floor, helping thousands of people all over the world in Espanol and English. And suddenly people couldn't see me. So it's been crazy. I still get emails today in Espanol that are like, oh my God, todavía estás aquí. I'm like, yes, girl, I am still here. But it's wild. So people are rerouting, rerouting in the storm. And this is what I've been asking myself, right? And I want to offer this to anybody who's listening. If the algorithm doesn't see me, can I still trust my impact? And I want to guide you into that to breathe. If the algorithm doesn't see me, can I still trust my impact? If no one buys this offer, can I still trust its value? If things are quiet, can I still trust the power of the pause? And so if you've been struggling in any way, if you are somebody who's been doing online business and healing work for a long time, or you just started, I would like you to really journal on those. Because the answers have been slow and sacred. I've been reimagining what service looks like, right? Focusing on presence, focusing on holding space for myself, which is really radical in a culture that tells us to hustle through the void. And I think you would all be really proud of me because so many of you saw me like, boom, 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 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, I entered a bit burnt out, and in the throes of like perimenopause. I needed a little bit of time off and I slowed down. I was still working full time, but I slowed down from teaching like 1 million classes. And by the way, I wasn't teaching the 1 million classes because I wanted to make the $1 million. I've actually never said I wanted to make $1 million. I've always asked the universe to keep me employed, to keep me aligned, to keep me in integrity, to keep me fluid and flowing so I could serve with ease and with grace, right? So it's never been about that. It's when a group of people reach out and they're like, hey, I can't do that Saturday. I know you're busy, but 6 of us want to do this date. I go into my calendar and I would book it. That's just how I am. Because I actually really love my work, and you look at my chart, you would see that. You'd be like, oh my God, this person, a lot of emphasis on the 4th house with ancestors, on the 6th house, on the 10th, and on the 12th, people. So there's some of us that really, 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 extremely, really love what we do. And if anything, have to be reminded to take some time off, right? So the great thing is I've been doing improv since 2017 when I moved to Pennsylvania. So I've been doing the work that I love and then doing a hobby that I've grown to love. And so I've been listening to my ancestors, to my body, my nervous system, my spirit guides, my cat Xander and Che and Neo, sometimes snoring in the background. And all of them are reminding me that this is not the end. This is a reset, okay? As I said earlier, a rerouting, a remembering. And so if you've leaned too much into Instagram and you haven't been loving up your email list, it's time to love up your email list. If you haven't done anything in person in a long time, maybe it's time. And I was moved, I always have a retreat in person every year. Now it's happening in September. Actually, let me take a little break to share about that. So my people, this is my 6th year doing retreats in Pennsylvania. I usually do them for the spring equinox. I am holding it now in Duncannon, Pennsylvania, same place, but September 18th to 21st of 2025 this year. I love it. I still have 5 more spaces left. And until May 1st, I have a special price of $777. And there's a payment plan of $150 a month, right? So I'm really working with folks. If you want to pay it in full, then you get a reading with me. So a private session that we'll record. And, you get to room with other people. You get to have yin yoga on Saturday morning, gentle yoga. There is a forest walk. There are 120 acres. We get to be outside. We get amazing food that my husband makes, right? And we get to sing, to pray, to heal, to clear, to connect to the inner guidance within.
and it's all women. As I said, I have 5 more spots, and there's a payment plan, a monthly payment plan of $150 a month. So I got you. I actually went a little lower. Last year was a little higher. I really want to support people who may be scared of what's happening to make it. So I have 5 more spots. I will put in the link. If you have any questions, reach out to me. And so, commercial done. Commercial break. But really what I'm saying, it's a time for remembering. Remember that when we have a soul calling, when we are guided internally by something deeper, right? Then the stock market, then a government, there is something deeper than all that, in my opinion. It is impactful. The systems we're living in are impactful, and I'm not, bypassing them. But there's something deeper. That's our soul. It's our soul work. And so I know that while we are all shifting and we're all asking ourselves, how do we rework this? Because during the pandemic, it became really just overload. I mean, I did 30 sessions in a week sometimes, and then I taught a 6-hour class on Saturday and then a 4-hour class on Sunday. That's really the truth of 2021 and 2022. So how do we shift into this new beginning? Take time. Take time to address, well, what worked, what doesn't work. Who am I now? Not in the pandemic, not pre-pandemic, today, in the state of the union, in the state of the collective right now, this moment, and the state of my own body, because the body that you had before pandemic is not the body you had during pandemic, is not the body that you have now. And you gotta laugh sometimes. When I got the urge to create the 3-hour workshop, Improv for Healing, in February, I was like, people are going to go, Vanessa, what is there to laugh about? So I did a video saying, well, we need it more than ever because we need the endorphins, we need the laughter, we need the connection. What we're up against and what we're dealing with worldwide, not even just the US, but what's happening across the world. And it's been happening, but it feels like it's at a fever pitch, right? We're going to need our community. We're going to need each other. We're going to need our own resilience and our own power. And we have to laugh. And that's why I'm grateful for improv and sketch that I'm doing now. Because if I don't laugh, I'm going to cry. And I'm not against crying because I'm a crier. But when you realize, right? And I already realized this in 2018, where I had like 3,000 views and then suddenly 100 and then 10 and then like 3. Then realizing that the 3 were me rewatching to see if my hair looked messy, right? Like messy, but not cute messy. It's a true story. I was like, oh my God, I'm the only one who watched this. Now, the blessing is that I've always liked to have many different ways of bringing in income. Some people don't like that. Some people are like, no, I only do past life regression. Some people are like, I only do business coaching. I only do this. I only do that. For you, I ask you and I invite you, where else can you grow into? What else is calling you at this time? For me, I've gotten paid to write. I get clients through my podcasts. I get students from my podcasts. I've been on television, many interviews during the pandemic and after. So, and then I get speaking engagements. I do empowerment training. I'm doing improv. So there's a lot of movement and I'm comfortable with that. I have a lot of Gemini in the chart, Taurus, Sun, but Gemini rising, Gemini moon, Gemini Mercury. And so if you're somebody who's like, no, I don't want to pivot, I don't want to change, take your time. Don't force yourself. Breathe through it. Because this work, this is a calling. It's sacred. It's absurd. It's crazy. It's wild. It's beautiful. It's amazing. We are divine beings navigating capitalism, shadow bands. We're navigating colonization. We're navigating wanting to heal ourselves, heal our community, be a part of healing the planet. And Canva font choices. And do I go to Substack or do I not go to Substack? Do I go to YouTube and now do I learn a whole new platform? So don't forget to laugh because it's crazy, right? And I would say even people who don't have businesses, you're going through shifts too. I know so many people, federal workers have been laid off, people who've left. There's a great restructuring and reshaping of our everyday existence. So don't forget to laugh because it's also holy. So I wanted to look at the astrology, right? So if you're feeling like this, I hope that these have been gentle and positive reminders. The cosmic context, right? What are we dealing with? Let's zoom out and like kind of look at the skies, right? So we just came out of a Mercury retrograde. That Mercury was in retrograde till April 7th. We know that Mercury controls, or let's say, not say, I hate the word control, rules, no, I don't like that word either, inspires and informs the mind technology. And it's now in Aries, and it went direct April 7th, and it's now in post shadow till about April 25th, right? So things are getting better, but things are still a little like, and Mercury being the planet of communication, tech, and visibility, being retrograde, it's like, oh my God, do I take action or not? But now it's forward. We're still in the shadow band, but we can move forward. Or the post shadow. Sorry, shadow band now is like in my brain. Release and breathe through it, Vanessa. Release and breathe through it. The post shadow. So now things have stalled, maybe. Glitches have happened. Engagement's been funky. But now it's time for us to get fired up. What are we thinking about? What are we wanting to share, right? As we come out of this time of being slowed down or doubting ourselves, how do we now get quicker visibility? How do we rework? How do we message? How do we refine our offers? So it's time to redefine our offers, to come forward in a different way. How does your work serve what is happening now in the world and what people need right now? So we're going to be rediscovering our voices instead of chasing algorithms. Listen, I have no interest. I already hashtag. I have no interest in figuring out how to make them like me again. But I have also cut back a little bit on sharing as much activist information as I did before. And I'm just being honest, right? I will share it through other avenues. So make those choices of what serves you, who you are and what works. Mercury is now direct. It's time for us to communicate. What do we feel excited about? What do we want to share with the world? Now, Pluto's in Aquarius, right? From 2023-ish, because it went in and out, to 2044. Pluto rules over power, transformation, and control. And it's in Aquarius. Okay, the humanitarian, the visionary. It's revolutionizing tech as we know it. AI is taking over. I was talking to some people who were like, oh my God, I just wrote a play, but it was really AI. They gave 3 ideas. So I'm like, oh God, I don't even know what's happening out here. It's revolutionizing social media. It's revolutionizing how we gather. So with Pluto with Pluto now direct, we're reviewing where we've given away some of our power to our platforms. Because some of the healers that I talked to who are very much on Instagram, we just shared a course on stories and people would book it and see it. But now if they're not seeing it as much, it's painful because people don't think we're here. You know, if they don't see, it's like, or they don't hear us, then it's like we're not here. And so letting go of the validation and moving into what is our truest vision for our sacred work, right? If we had to create our work beyond these media platforms, how would we share it? So there is a big tech shakeup happening right now, as you all know. So it's time for us to reclaim our sovereignty. Algorithms are being exposed as unstable. They're unstable foundations for a soulful business. Now it's the time to continue to build, right? Our community off the grid, our email lists, our in-person events, rooted content, local rooted content. Can you write for a local magazine? Are you interested? Are you interested in running an event locally? Are you interested in joining Power? So I got together with a group of Latino entrepreneurs here and creatives in Pennsylvania, and we created Raíces Creativas, right? And so when we created Raíces Creativas, Creative Roots, we then were able to get some funding. We were able to create 8 events in 3 weeks of the Hispanic Heritage Month. And we also were able to get paid for some of our work in terms of the events. Like I did a healing circle with a co-creator, and then I did Latino improv. And so there was still a way to impact the community. There's still a way to create change, to be an activist, but to do it in a way that really aligned. So these are thoughts, right? Now, Saturn's in Pisces. Saturn brings structure, boundaries, lessons. And it's really like it's the harsh taskmaster. You know what I mean? That you're then grateful that you had them. It's that tough teacher. But in Pisces, it's watery. It's the sign of dreams, spirituality, illusion. It's collapsing what's not aligned with deeper truth. The fog is lifting, illusions are breaking, including illusions of constant growth online. Let me repeat that, okay? Including the illusions of constant growth online. And now, for people who already have 1 million viewers, they're still going to get tons. But I know that many people who have like under 30, even under 70, the struggle is real. Now, what matters isn't the struggle to be seen and to jump around. Algorithm, look at me. What's important is, how are we wanting to show up in community, in our family, in our lives, and in person, okay? Now, that doesn't mean, again, that we don't get to do things differently. Like the coach that I was talking about, she just has really beautiful conversations on Facebook. No images, just conversations, where she shares with people her story, what she's gained from working with certain people, and it works for her. So there's different ways. I know people on Substack that is working for them. People who've navigated now into YouTube, right? For me, doing more local stuff has worked, and then really cultivating now my mailing list. I'm going back to it and continuing my podcast work. Now, you may feel like your old methods aren't working. It's because they're kind of not meant to. Saturn is asking you to put structures behind your magic. Your soul business needs rhythm, rest. It needs presence. It needs realness. I'm not saying it wasn't real. I'm saying that certain algorithms before let us go boop, 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 and it felt instant. It felt magical. We can still feel the magic. It's just going to move differently. Now, if you're listening and you don't have a business and you're like, oh my God, but this still seems interesting. Well, things have shifted for you too. And maybe the question becomes, even in your own job and your own career, what's in alignment now? What is the algorithm of my current career or job? What's the flow? What's the energy in the office, at work? And so boundaries meet dreams, right? With Saturn and Pisces. The fog is lifting, as I said earlier. It's asking us to root our magic in everyday life. Now, even as I say this, there's still going to be people having tremendous, tremendous success on TikTok. There are going to be people having tremendous success on YouTube. Yes, and it doesn't mean that we can't be one of them. But it's also inviting us, if we're open to it, to have real world, in-person connections with our community and people. Now, Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter, the expander, right? Expands everything it touches. And it's in Gemini. And it went in May 2024 into June of 2025. So we still got time. Now, Jupiter expands what it touches. In curious, quick thinking Mercurial Gemini, it's not about sticking to one camino, one path. It's about exploring, connecting, and learning through experience. So what does this mean for us? People are hungry for information, for storytelling, for multi-dimensional conversations. Now's the time to experiment boldly, speak your truth, teach what you know, and connect through your words, voice, and ideas. Now, look, you're like, but Vanessa, you just said that some of us are having issues with the algorithms. That doesn't mean we quiet our voice. It means we speak in another direction. We speak on another platform. So I invite you, start your podcast you've been talking about. Write that book you've been dreaming about, which I'm talking to myself as well. I started it, right? Again, because I have many books, right? Launch the workshop. Teach the thing you've been sitting on that you love, that moves you, that keeps you up at night, that has you excited, right? And I'll be honest, improv in the beginning was not exciting to me. I felt stressed because as a healer, as an expert, I like to keep things, I like to be the one who guides and the things work and I know the process. Suddenly I'm in the unknown where I'm part of a team. It's been one of the best things that ever happened to me. And the fact that now I'm teaching again there's a spiritual healing expo, October 4th here in Pennsylvania. I'm going to be doing a free, donation-based improv for healing workshop to give people a taste. And watch out, because I may be coming to Philly and New York again. Who knows? Maybe I'll travel with this. But I've been sitting on it. This year's like, no, I'm going to do the thing that I know. Who cares if people are like Vanessa, who is a psychic medium, astrologer, business coach, now is doing improv? Yes, because that's what we need now. Connection, joy, learning to create something out of nothing with other people, right? Learning to work together. So follow the breadcrumbs of your curiosity. But also remember that Jupiter in Gemini can scatter the hell out of us. Our energy, it's depth over distraction. Okay, that's going to be key. So don't get like crazy and all over the place. Breathe, ground, Let your voice be your power and not your pressure. Because we know that so many of us, we stress ourselves. We are all, so many of us have this great desire to create love and peace in the world and to create change for everyone. We dream and desire social justice. We put so much pressure. But if we cannot affect the collective, we start by affecting our own lives, our families' lives, the community, and then the people we can reach. And we never know where the podcast is going to land. We never know where the book is going to land. And this is a season of thought leadership, right? It's a season of spiritual dialogue, of heart-forward visibility. Your presence in this conversation really matters now more than ever. So I invite you to speak, to share, to teach, to connect. Let your words open doors for others and for yourself. So to every soul-led leader, to every creative, to every BIPOC creative, to every soul-rooted human who's listening, you're not behind. You're not broken. I'm getting emotional, but you're not invisible. I know change is hard, especially change that we're like, what the F? Or change that just doesn't feel is aligned. But we are shifting. You are shifting. We are deepening. And so many of us are like, well, already been deep. We're a healer. Or we live a spiritual life. And yet we're being asked to deepen even more. We are deepening. And you are being prepared for something more aligned than you can even imagine right now. So take the pause. Grieve the silence or grieve what was, because we need that. We can't deny ourselves. Reroute if you need to. Try something new. Don't doubt your voice, but try something new. Sometimes there's more of an echo in one type of space, and in another space, the information and the message lands directly. And know that your presence is enough, even if your posts aren't popping, because that one person who's going to invite you to speak at an event, that one listener who's going to thank you for the episode, and that's what we really want. We want to make an impact. We want to be able to really use our healing abilities, our coaching abilities, our gifts, and share them with the world to ignite passion and healing, to ignite a new way of thinking that includes all of us. So I hope this has helped you. Let me know, because it's kind of different than what I usually talk about, but I felt it needed to be said. And again, I've talked to over 12 healers, and those were just conversations. And then there's been readings, and there's been some healing sessions. There's a lot of people struggling right now in that way, but that doesn't mean that we don't get to be heard. So thank you for being here as I spill my corazón out here. And if I spoke to you, if this touched you, share it with a friend who's also navigating this new space, this void, the unknown. Leave a review if you can, because I need it. We need it. Or just light a candle and whisper, I see you, Vanessa, because I'll feel it. If you want to work with me, explore new offerings, I've been online 13 years full time. If you want to bring an improv group to the Northeast, let me know. I'll come and bring it. Head over to www.thebizbruja.com. If you're interested in improv, it's www.improv-unleashed.com. And reach out, because I'm here. I'm connected to what's happening. And I cannot wait to support you in lighting up the world and healing and growing, because that's what we're here to do. Les mando tanto amor. Stay curious, stay rooted. Mucho amor. Gracias.